Oh, hello. Welcome back. Daily Grind. This is a Rubik's Cube that I'm failing because Rubik's Cubes are garbage.
Yeah, they're
Welcome back to
awful.
the Daily Grind. If you like Rubik's Cubes, this show isn't for you because you're smarter than both of us. Uh, but I do want the Rubik's Cube crowd. So if you like Rubik's Cubes, I apologize for the jab. Welcome to the Daily Grind. I got Uncle Buck with me. How are you, sir? Have you ever completed a Rubik's Cube?
No. At one time somebody told me that's like basically you just do the same thing over and over and then it
Shut
solves
up.
itself. And I was like, okay. So there's like 6 or 7 steps there. Like I can follow that. So I tried it. And then I was getting crossed up on those. Like, I mean, it's just not for me.
Anybody who actually says that you can solve it like that, I think two things. One, they're psychopaths because
Right.
they enjoy watching other people fail because that's garbage. Like,
Right.
if you say you can solve it in 6 steps, you know full well that that person can't do it, and you're just gonna step back and be like, "Mwah." And I'm
Yeah.
colorblind too, so when I see a Rubik's cube,
Oh
I'm just
yeah.
like, it's it's a cube.
What's this normal square cube doing here?
I'm like, what do it moves? Shout out
Yeah.
Wayne. Down, just finished work up, tuning in from Sydney, down under, brother. Good to see you this morning or this evening.
Well, whatever time it is.
Whatever time it is, down under. Back to
Yeah.
our show.
Uh-huh.
There was no Grizzlies news. I didn't even have in me to like make up a cool segment for us to talk to, like I've done for the past week. I was
Right.
like, I got nothing. But
I just knew you were going to ask me for my Jordan Goodwin outlook, and I'm not just going to have nothing.
man, I had it down to, I was like, okay, so I can talk about the two ways, or I can talk about Jake LaRavia, and I was like, I don't want to do either of those things.
At some point, this is your show, and if you don't want to talk about it, we don't have to talk about it.
I was like, man,
Wayne's up
what we
late tonight. It's 10:35 in Australia.
Wayne, this is past your bedtime, dude. Go to
Night,
sleep.
bud.
Yeah, night. We did have some news though that I think inadvertently affects the Grizzlies in a good way.
Yeah.
Both of these
Yeah.
things I think are good things
Right.
for Memphis. The first news that I saw, I think this was yesterday or 2 days ago. Kevon Looney, it appears, is going to be entering free agency. It looks like the Warriors are going to not be bringing him back, and he's not even making that much money, but it looks like they are one of the teams that are just back up against the cap,
Right.
against that second apron, and it looks like they're
Oh,
just
yeah.
going to have to move on from him to save some money, which I get.
Yeah. I mean, listen, I'd be lying if I told you there wasn't a couple players that I wouldn't love to have off the Golden City Warriors.
Yeah.
He's one of them. I mean,
Yes.
you're talking about what the Grizzlies need is they need a guy that can play the 5 on offense, basically,
Yeah.
and set good screens and rebound the ball. And we've seen firsthand how well Kevon Looney can rebound the ball. I mean, in that playoff series, out of Steph, Clay, and Draymond, he was the most frustrating person because we were getting 0 rebounds.
Just tapping every rebound back, tapping
Yeah.
every single one back.
And so he may be one of those guys that the Grizzlies have a higher respect for than any other team, but I have respect for Kevon Looney. Now,
Yes.
I don't know how much tread is left on the tires. Somebody smarter than me will have to do that because I didn't watch just a ton of Warriors games this year. But yeah, I would definitely take a look at that.
Yeah, it's interesting because I like the way you said it. Not sure how much tread's left on the tires because he's only 28, but he seems like an old 28. And I don't have I'm curious how many playoff games he's got, but that dude, like, he's been on a lot of those Warriors. He's got a lot of miles, a lot of playoff miles on him, and one thing that interests me with it's such an interesting domino feels like I'm overinflating the importance of this news, but there's a decent amount of free agent centers. Like you look at Hartenstein, you look at Davion Mitchell, you look at not Davion Mitchell. Who's the other one that is Davion? The other one that the Knicks have. You look at.
Shoot. Why'd you do this?
I'm so sorry.
It's Mitchell.
It's Mitchell, right?
Yeah, it's Mitchell. We're both blank.
But Hartenstein, Nick Claxton, there's just like a lot of dudes a lot of bigs that I've heard their names bandied around for Memphis that
Right.
Kevon Looney could fill those shoes. Like if another team say the Knicks sign him, does that mean that one of their two bigs is available? Like I just think it's an interesting domino that I that's so minuscule in terms of in the grand scheme of things. Like
Mitchell Robinson.
Mitchell Robbins.
So,
Thank you,
yeah,
you,
thanks.
Uncle Buck. Sorry, guys.
So this has always been my thing about centers, and I think that Kevon Looney falls into this. Is everybody wants the big market item, the big ticket item is always going to be your wings, going to be your guards, going to be your big centers. But there's a lot of bigs that you can get for little to nothing. I mean, just look at what you got last year with old Bismack. You just got him off the street. You could plug and play a lot of big guys. Now, don't be distracted by what's going on behind me here. I think they're trying to find cartoons in here in the middle of
That's
this.
okay. I want to watch cartoons. I was just,
Yeah.
I think we should start the show over and talk about Bismack Biyombo instead. I forgot about him. I'd shout out Biz.
But yeah, so I think Kevon Looney kind of fits into that category, although I'd put him in an upper tier of big guys that you can get, for cheap, And so add him to the list. I was talking on the $2 Sports Show this week about some guys, different ways that you can tackle this. And you can go for the big splash. You can go for Jared Allen. You can go for, Nick Claxton. You can go one of those big guys. But put him in the next category where you draft a young big for the future, and then you go get Looney or Drummond or someone around the edges that has a skill. Kelly Olynyk, one particular skill that they can bring to the team that may be on a smaller contract that could kind of pave the way for the young guy.
Yeah, I mean, like in the comments, I just saw James Wiseman too. Like if we're learning anything, it's that, like James Assman. Why is that? There's the point is centers are available. You can find a center. Bismack was at home, and he started over half the season for us. It's like
no,
there are options out there. It's so sad. And Kevon Looney is a playoff caliber center, and I just think that if you would have told me that Kevon Looney might be the first domino that starts this little center thing, it's just so silly, but it also speaks about that position. That bodes well for Memphis, I think.
Yeah, I just think there's so many options out there, and I think that's why you're not going to hear anything till draft night. Yeah, I don't think anything gets done before draft night because they're going to exhaust all options as well as they can. And for the big man, I think that's the one thing you may have to – that's one thing that you may have the luxury of some time and some options on.
Yeah, and it's like you said, the Grizzlies will be able to exhaust all options leading up to after the draft. Like they just have that luxury. Another team that looks like they've exhausted all options, or maybe are trying to exhaust all options at their coaching hire, are the Lakers.
Right.
Way that's so much better than the one I had on Monday. I'm getting better. So looks like the Lakers are still looking for another coach, which I think's a little hilarious because
this is great.
Dan Hurley flies across the country. They offer him what, $70 million over 6 years.
Yeah.
And he's like, as soon as he got back on the plane and flew back, it was like, crap. Like they had to, like, who flies back to the East Coast, does a press conference and say, hey, we're going back to the West Coast. That just sounds, for a guy over 50, that just sounds like a whole lot of flying. And it's just,
he's not flying the same way we fly though, brother.
That's true.
He's not flying coach on Spirit Airlines. I mean,
Hurley doesn't fly Frontier.
No.
He doesn't. I guess nobody flies Frontier because they get canceled. So the Lakers are left still coachless. I don't know where that leaves. The Grizzlies are better off because Dan Hurley turns down this job because the farce that is the Lakers continues.
Yeah, I mean, unless it's I don't see how it would have been possible, but I guess Dan Hurley could have just been the next in the line of guys that don't jive with LeBron,
Yep.
Although in this scenario where they would have hired Dan Hurley on my show, on mine and Rusty's show, I gave him would have given the Lakers a ton of credit for making a decision not based on LeBron,
Yeah.
because I don't think that was LeBron's choice. And I was going to give them a ton of credit for thinking past LeBron, not letting him dictate this coaching hire, and just basically giving him the keys of the kingdom and saying, listen, you can have it for the next 5 years. So, but that didn't happen. Probably a lot because of LeBron. I mean, I don't know. Dan Hurley is running an empire over there at Connecticut.
Yeah, UConn.
So I don't know where they go next. I think it'll be hilarious if they land on JJ Redick now. Because
I just don't know how do you keep hiring after that money figure comes out? It's like, well, they're not going to offer me that much money. It's such a crap show.
Yeah, so I think it would be hilarious. I think that tumultuous coaching searches for teams that I hate is one of my favorite things of all time. Because the Lakers, they just go, everybody tells them no. I remember this happened to Tennessee football. I know there's a lot of Vols fans out there, but before you hired Heupel, you were going to hire Schiano, and then the fan base uproared, and then it was like, this person said no, this person said no, this person, and you just, as a fan of other teams, you're like, he don't want you, he don't want you, he don't want you. And so that's kind of what I'm hoping out of this Lakers situation. It's like, call Mike D'Antoni, let him tell you no. Call James Borrego, let him tell you no. Call,
If JJ says no now, I think it would be hilarious.
Yeah. I mean, before too long, maybe you just call Darvin Ham.
Hey, Frank Vogel's, he just won him a title. I think he's out there still. I just don't. There's I'm gonna JB Bickerstaff, it's Brown on boxing. There's so many dudes out there, and I don't remember what I heard this on yesterday. The Lakers have only had one coach last more than 3 seasons in like a long time, and it was Phil Jackson. Yeah, it's just like it's just so ridiculous, and it does sound like still this Lakers situation, like this coaching hire, is so confusing to me because it does sound like the Hurley hire, those decisions were being made with past LeBron in mind,
right?
But it also seems like the Lakers are promising him they're going to draft Bronny. I don't know. I don't know.
Yeah, it's almost like they had an idea of what they wanted best, but how many times can you sit down and tell LeBron we're not going with your guy?
Yeah.
And so maybe it's just like, all right, we tried it, but now I guess we just got to go to LeBron's guy. So one conspiracy theory that I love.
Oh, give it to me.
Coaching conspiracy theories. It all depends on who breaks the news. And so first off, Shams broke the JJ Redick news. Well, Shams is a clutch guy. So it's like, okay, this is coming from LeBron's camp and he wants JJ Redick.
Him and JJ are tight.
Yeah. Woj comes in and breaks the Dan Hurley news. Well, way back before Woj was at ESPN or before he was at Yahoo, he was just like a columnist in the Northeast somewhere that covered sports. And he wrote a book, a critically acclaimed biography on Dan Hurley's dad, who is the most legendary high school basketball coach of all time.
Yeah.
And about his story. And so Woj has known the Hurley family for decades. And so it was like, well, maybe Woj was just used to get Dan Hurley a raise, and he wasn't. But so just
I've heard that too.
Everybody dissecting who, based on who breaks the news, who leaked this story, is fascinating to me. Now it turns out Dan Hurley actually did sit down with the Lakers, so probably not much to that. But I love the fact that every time that that Shams tweets something out, they're like, "Oh, that's LeBron, that's Rich Paul."
Man, can you imagine Dan Hurley calling up Woj and being like, "Hey, man, I really want to sign like a more lucrative extension soon. Can you just float something out there for me? I'll make the flight, but I don't want it."
You know what? And 6 years, $70 million seems like a good number for me. That's what I want to get. That's $11.6 million a year. I think Connecticut can afford that.
It's funny though because it's still not Monty Williams money. Like if the Lakers, the Lakers never cease to give me a good chuckle.
Oh no,
and
people that say that, the NFL is best when the Cowboys are good, or the NBA is at its peak when the Knicks are good in Madison Square Garden. You know, they want these the big market teams being good is what's the best for the sport in ideal scenarios. I think it's just garbage. Like I am more tuned in to the big market teams being terrible organizations. That's what I cheer for. And so maybe your coastal elites, you know, they want your LAs and your New Yorks to be good, but that just fuels the fire for me to want them all to burn to the ground.
See, I think what they mean to say is like the NBA is better when the Lakers are good and Magic Johnson was playing for them. I think that's what they mean to say. It's like everybody loved the Lakers when Magic was there, when Kobe was there, but like I don't like watching them anymore. I like watching the Knicks, but like it's I agree with you. It's
I like that Knicks team, but not because they're the Knicks or from New York or in the middle of, you know, that they're in America's city, the heartbeat of America. Like, miss me with all that. You know, I like Jalen Brunson, but I don't root for laundry for them. Like,
it's like I like Dak Prescott, but I don't think I would pee on the Cowboys as a franchise if they were on fire to put them out.
Well, you know, honestly, Dak Prescott could I wouldn't pee on Dak Prescott.
He Mississippi State boy too. He Mississippi State dude.
You brought up the wrong guy.
Softball. So I was like, oh wait. I saw it as soon as I said his name. I looked and I saw that twinkle in your eye, and I was like, oh, he doesn't like him.
He pooped his pants in an egg bowl one time. I'll tell you that story later.
He pooped his pants in an egg. That sounds like a country song. We're gonna take a quick break, and when we get back, we're going to talk about the weekend. It's not the weekend. That's why I put ish. This is going to be my last show for the week because I'm going to be going out of town. I'll explain that after the break, but we're going to take a quick break, and then we're going to talk about the quote-unquote weekend. I need to figure out where my camera is right after this break.
Speaking of getting rid of toxins, Kenny Stubblefield, David Jones.
Oh, wow.
Nah, I mean, depending on who you look at it. You know, he may be a toxin to University of Memphis. The University of Memphis might be a toxin to him. In a very dramatic fashion, David Jones decided he will be taking this challenge to the NBA. At around 10:55, man, it started feeling a little bleak. You know, I text you. I said, Kenny, is there any hope?
I mean, he kind of the writing's been on the wall, right? Like, I mean, he said it to the Daily Memphians, Drew Hill at the combine. If I get
any inclination that I can get,
think at me the right way, I'll stay in the game.
You only have a very short window of time. I think that window is very small. I think you can get caught up in just becoming an amateur basketball player, and you can lose that window of opportunity.
Tune in to The Anthony Sane Show, Wednesdays and Fridays at 12 p.m. weekly on the Bluff City Media YouTube channel.
This has turned into unrealistic expectations for teams. Not every team is ready to win a championship. There are steps you got to take to put yourself in position to win it. And I thought that what they had done in Cleveland had become a team that was muddled in nothing. And JB, I thought they created a little bit of a culture. You were able to find a star player. I think it's tough. I go back to what happened with Adrian Griffin in Milwaukee. I mean, you got the second best record in the NBA, and they say, well, we don't know if you're the one to get us over the top. Yeah, but the guy you bring in is only 5-6 games over 500 from that point on. You would hope that realistic expectations start to come back into the fold other than these unrealistic things that it's going to happen. Winning a championship happens just like that because it doesn't that way at all.
Tune in to the Night Court Podcast with your hosts, Rob Fisher and Brevin Knight on the Bluff City Media YouTube channel.
Welcome back to the Daily Grind. You can catch that show. You can catch both those shows. Night Court, Anthony Sane Show, the $2 Sports Show, Grizz 901. You can catch all that at bluffcitymedia.co. Going to have a lot of coverage about the draft coming up. And then looking even further, summer league's happening in the summer. I can't wait. But that's looking down the road. Real quick, we didn't talk about the finals. Who do you got tonight?
I think Dallas wins tonight. I think it's really hard to win. I think the lower seed typically wins a game 3.
Yeah.
It may be the only game they win. Got, like I said on your show last week, Kristaps Porzingis is the key, and we've seen that especially in game 1.
Mhm.
But his status is back up for grabs again, and so if Dallas wants to kind of see the light, look for a path to winning the NBA championship, it starts with games 3 and 4 at home. You've got to win both, and you really hope not to root for injury. But if I was a Mavericks fan, I'd absolutely be rooting for injury at this point. We're in the NBA Finals, and it seems like the only way that's going to be plausible.
Yeah, I know he's officially listed for questionable tonight with a rare injury, which
you're going to have to get rusty on to even pronounce whatever injury that is, because
yes,
I have no idea. I can't even read it.
I thought that was, I don't know. It's not what you want to see if you're a Boston fan. It's like, I think you're right. I think the Dallas does win tonight, but I still have Boston winning the whole thing. We'll see.
I have a real hard time seeing a way after watching, especially game 2 was about the worst that Boston could have played, I think, at least shooting, and they didn't lead that whole game.
Oh, you have kids. I love kids. So I'm gonna watch some basketball this weekend, but the weekend
tonight
outlook tonight and this weekend. It's my weekend. It starts. I've started doing Sean Connery for some reason because it's an easy voice for me to do. My weekend is starting today in approximately 4 hours. 4 hours, because
nice.
I am going to Bonnaroo this weekend.
Yep.
I've never been. We were talking off air. I love camping. I love music. I love other things that are going to be present. I like water. I love. Yeah. I'm also excited to have a little extended break. It's gonna be like a 5-day weekend.
Are you going for the whole experience?
Yeah. So my partner Kyla, her and her family, they're big festival people. They go. This is like their 3rd or 4th year. And so I'm finally tagging along. So they've got like a camper set up. I'm going to be sleeping in a hammock. I'm real excited for T-Pain. I'm not even being kidding.
Pulled up the lineup.
Love T-Pain. Yeah. I like Jason Isbell.
When I was in college at Mississippi State, they have a it's called Bulldog Bash every year. Cool. It's during football season. They'll have a big concert night and a festival kind of thing. And my wife and I were just dating at the time, and she came down because the headliner was T-Pain. Yeah. So we saw T-Pain in the streets of Starkville, and this was before he's had like a massive ascension like in the last 2 to 3 years.
Yeah.
And I guess once he came out and showed like his real voice instead of his auto-tune,
you can actually sing.
But he was amazing in Starkville, and this was, 6 years ago.
I can't. People are always like, "So who are you excited for?" And I could say the Chili Peppers, which I am excited for. But
I would be. As a former bass player, I would love the Chili Peppers. Yeah.
That's my bass mode. I look like I look like I'm breaking, but that's my bass player. Those are my two favorite, and everybody's face. It's so. Oh yeah, shout out Rusty. I'm really excited for Jason Isbell. I've only listened to him. Oddly enough, I only caught him recently, and I was like, man, this guy knows how to write a song. But T-Pain's my number one. I'm also excited for Megan Thee Stallion. Just pretty pumped.
I couldn't tell you.
There's also a band called Gwar.
Gwar?
I think it's like heavy metal. I don't know. I just read something that they dump blood on you at their shows.
Yeah, I've heard of it. They've been like that cult, really, really grunge.
I feel like I'm gonna be like Jim Carrey at Night at the Roxbury the whole time. No matter what show, I'm just gonna be like happy and just da 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 music, recreation. How about you? What are you doing this weekend?
I was just looking at that. I'd love to see Cage the Elephant. They'd put on
I've seen them before.
Show.
They're good. They're good.
I I'll be honest with you, I don't know most of these acts. So,
Same. Take it
but
back
it would,
Sunday.
the festival experience would be amazing. You know,
Yes.
just that experience. What Haley is going on a vacation this weekend, so you know what that means.
Do you have all the kids?
She's going on a girls trip, leaving tomorrow to Nashville, to your neck of the woods.
Oh no.
She's going, you know, when 4 women in their late 20s, early 30s go to Nashville, everybody is just like scared to death. Like
I'm glad I won't be here. I know what it's like down there.
Yeah. They're not the type to go to Broadway, but they're going to go to
Okay.
probably like hang out in Franklin, you know, and try to be rich for the weekend, you know. So yeah, I'll be 4 kids deep at the house, and somehow going to have to get a show off tomorrow night recorded with old Buckets. So maybe at $2 after dark tomorrow night, we'll see. And once all the kids get down, which if you've listened to our show recently, I've outlined how awful that's been with the 2-year-old the last week or so. So yeah, thoughts and prayers for old Uncle Buck here. But I'm excited for her.
Build a cage for yourself, and you're just like in there recording the show, and the kids are like banging on the window.
Or I have like 100-pound dog who's got a huge kennel. I just put the kids in the kennel.
That's not what I thought you were going to say. I was like, yeah, you're going to have this dog distract them. Yeah. And then you're like, nope, I'm going to lock
cage the kids.
You're like, shut up, dog. Just throw stuff on them.
I'm going to do that one time. I'm going to put all 4 kids in the kennel and take a picture and send it to Haley once she gets all the way to Nashville. But like, problem solved. See you Saturday.
Be like, I ordered them pizza going to watch the game.
Yeah. So that's my weekend plan. It's gonna be entertaining.
That seems like a good way to end the show about locking your 4 kids in a cage. If your wife is listening, she's not going to do that. If she's not listening, why aren't you listening?
She's not listening.
She's not listening.
She supports me in other ways.
She doesn't. It's like Kyla's like, hey, yeah, you know, today's episode 103. You going to listen? She's like, yeah. And I'm like, you don't have to. Thank you for
I told Haley. I told Haley one time. I was like, we got done recording. I was like, you got to listen to this tomorrow. You know, this is good. Me and Rusty had a good time. And she's like, I heard your half already. And I was like, okay,
anytime that's said, you're like,
I mean, I'm not gonna lie. I'm the better half, but it's just like listening to one side of a conversation.
It sounds insane. That's gonna do it for our show. I'm gonna be gone the next 3 days. I'll be back Monday. I might even do it if something crazy happens. I might do a surprise Bonnaroo show. Who knows? Just dirty and like, yeah. You will be back. $2 Sports Show records tomorrow. Drops Monday. Yeah. You're gonna be back on my show Monday. Your show this week.
Yeah, $2 Sports Show. We're going to record it tomorrow night, Friday at 3:00 on Bluff City Media's YouTube page. It'll be a fun one. We've gotten into the doldrums here, so we get a little creative. We'll do we'll find something to keep you entertained for about an hour. It may be a snake draft of, favorite hot dogs. Joey Chestnut's been on my mind. He got booted.
R.I.P.
And so we'll find something to do, and it'll be fun. It gets more off the rails when we have to get creative, and so buckle up.
What's your favorite hot dog?
I like a smoked sausage with relish and spicy mustard. I'm pretty simple. I'm not a big hot dog guy, but if you get like a smoked sausage, you really can't beat that.
Give me a New York dog, sauerkraut, hot mustard. I'm good.
Yeah, I still kind of resent the Germans a little bit, so I'm not going to go with the sauerkraut.
Well, yeah, and cased meat is a little gross when you describe it as cased meat. It's like, I'm good.
Yeah, I mean,
enough about cased meat. This is going to do it for. It's going to do it for the show. We will be back next week. Have a great day, and remember, and Anthony Sain's on today, so catch him later this afternoon. If I can remember y'all with 2 things, remember, be a little weird, and remember to smile. I will see everybody later. Bye.